Strange and the spooky, adventurous and loony, they're all together ooky, the Bud family. Their trips are amazing when people come to see 'em. They really are amazing, the Bud family. History, ghost, art. So put on a witch's shawl on, a seat so you can relax on. We're gonna play a call on the Bud family. Alright guys, it's Wednesday. We've only got one more after today left in the month of October. Year is coming to a close. Which is kind of fun and sad at the same time. It's always amazing how sometimes a year feels like it zoomed by and other days you're just like, oh, can we get it over with already? Anyway, today's video is about a fun musician hopefully you guys have heard of. And we've got a Halloween race, which I should probably done next week, but you know, why not? Ready? Here we go. Shout out time. Here's a shout out just for you. You support me, so I support you. This shout out is for our friends. Let's see who it is today. Maybe. There we go. Alright. We've got She Stole. I see Cruising Nuts. I see Judy May. I see Jericho. I see Praying. I see Matt and Beck. I see Sylvia. I see Distracted. I see Frugal. I see Hiking Ontario. Nikki and Happy. Richard. There's Lainey. There's Sylvia. Mac and Beck are a witch. Lainey's a devil. Brain Couple's a very sad clown. Lower, looks like you're a Pumpkin King. M&J is a zombie. Marketplace is a witch. Lower is a Pumpkin King. Abundance is a werewolf. Let's see. Mummy Brad. Is it Brad? It's Brad the Mummy. Or skeleton. I think it's a skeleton. Yeah, skeleton. Alright, and Mr. Brad is about birds. We got lots of shorts of birds. Oh, there's some kitties. And some food. And some lollies around the bird feeder. So if you like birds, there's your place to go. Go check them out. Like, share, comment, have a good day. Cold.
Understandable.
Alright, Mr. Rated Historian's gonna tell us about a person. A person of interest.
Just a little person of interest. He didn't do much in the music field, you know. He was born in 1959, October 23rd. The only child of Mary Elizabeth and Nick. Was raised in Linwood, California. His father was born in Strawberry Hill neighborhood of Kansas City and was of Slovene and Croatian descent. And his mom, Mary, was born in Croatia. Nick began living in California after earning 2 Purple Hearts for his service as a medic during World War II. He believed the key to success was doing whatever makes you happy, and often reminded his son of this philosophy. Mom, who was a stenographer from Kentucky of English and Italian descent, married his father in 1949, and they moved to California a decade before their son was born. Now, the son, you give a little idea here of exactly what he'd done. One of his first songs would air at age 16. He's sold over 12 million albums. Recorded more than 150 songs, and some original, some parodies. Performed more than 1,000 live shows. He's earned 5 Grammy Awards and 11 nominations, 4 gold records, 6 platinum records in the U.S. His first top 10 Billboard album and single were both released in 2006, nearly 3 decades into his career. His 14th studio album became his first #1 album during his debut week. And interestingly enough, if it wasn't for his very first job, he probably would still be doing side work in a big corporate business. But if you have not guessed who we're talking about, we're talking about Weird Al Yankovic. Now, interestingly enough, his first accordion lesson, which sparked his interest in music, took place on the day before his 7th birthday. A door-to-door salesman was traveling through Linwood offering parents a choice of an accordion or guitar lessons at a local music school. I would have loved to see that. Open the door and there's a guy standing there. Hey, you want your son to learn to play an accordion?
I didn't know that was something they did door to door.
Me either, because I just can't imagine that. Yankovic claims that his parents chose the accordion over the guitar because they figured there should be at least one more accordion-playing Yankovic in the world. This was in reference to Frankie Yankovic. Actually, I've had a 45 of the guy. No relation. He also said that they chose the accordion because they were convinced it would revolutionize rock.
Sure.
Yeah. Since his mother did not let him outside the house often, he had plenty of time to practice the instrument at home. He continued lessons at the school for 3 years before deciding to continue learning on his own. Now, back in the 70s, you think about some of the big music that came out. He was a big fan of Elton John and cites his Goodbye Yellow Brick Road as one of the reasons he learned to play rock and roll on the accordion. As for his influences, comedy and parody music, he lists some of the who's who of Weird Al Yankovic's kinfolk. Right through Dr. Demento, you have Stan Freberg, Spike Jones, Tom Lehrer, Alan Sherman, Shel Silverstein, and Frank Zappa, as all the other wonderfully sick and twisted artists. Other sources of inspiration, of course, came from Mad Magazine, the British comedy troupe Monty Python, and Zucker, Abrahams, and Zucker Films. He also enjoyed George Carlin's stand-up comedy album FM and AM so much, he transcribed it by typewriter.
Fun.
That took some talent back then. Now, Weird Al Yankovic, interestingly enough, he began kindergarten a year earlier than most kids and even skipped 2nd grade, later saying, my classmates seemed to think I was some kind of rocket scientist, so I was labeled a nerd pretty early on. He attended the Linwood High School, where his unusual schooling experience meant he was 2 years younger than most of his classmates. He was not interested in sports or social events, but was active in other extracurricular programs, including National Forensic League sanctioned public speaking events. Where did NCIS miss out on this guy? A play based on Rebel Without a Cause, The Yearbook, for which he wrote most of the captions, and Volcano Worshippers Club, which later which he later said did absolutely nothing and was started just to get an extra picture of themselves in the yearbook.
I mean, okay.
Okay. He graduated in 1976 and was valedictorian of his senior class. He would later attend California Polytechnic State University at San Luis Obispo, earning a bachelor's degree in architecture. After graduation, he worked at Westwood One, first in the mailroom, and then calling stations confirming the paid advertisements had indeed run on air. Now, he received his first exposure via syndicated comedy radio personality Dr. Demento on his Southern California-based radio show, later saying, if there hadn't been a Dr. Demento, I'd probably have a real job now.
Uh-oh.
Despite his mother having caught him listening to the program and banning him from listening to it again, he found other ways to hear it discreetly. In 1976, Dr. Demento spoke at his high school, where the 16-year-old Yankovic gave him a homemade cassette tape of original and parody songs performed on the accordion in Yankovic's bedroom into a cheesy little tape recorder. The tape's first song, Belvedere Cruisin', about the family's Plymouth Belvedere, was played on Demento's comedy radio show, launching his career.
That's fun.
Yeah, Demento said Belvedere Cruisin' might not have been the very best song I ever heard, but it had some clever lines. I put it on the tape on the air immediately. Yankovic also played at the local coffee houses, accompanied by fellow dorm resident Joel Miller on bongos. He later recalled in 2007, it was sort of like amateur music night. A lot of people were wannabe Dan Fogelbergs. They get set up on stage with an acoustic guitar and do these lovely ballads. And I'd get up there with my accordion to play the theme from 2001.
Yeah.
And people were kind of shocked that I'd be disrupting their mellow Thursday night folk fest. Well, during his second year at architecture in California Polytechnic State University, he became a disc jockey at KCPR, the university radio station. Now, Yankovic had been called Weird Al originally as more of a derogatory nickname than others within the dormitory he shared, as he is seen as a strange outcast compared to other residents. And although he originally took it as an insult, Yankovic eventually took it on professionally as his persona for the station. In 1978, he released his first recording as Alfred Yankovic, Take Me Down, on the LP Slow Groan, as a benefit for the Economic Opportunity Commission of the San Luis Obispo County. The song mocked famous nearby landmarks such as Bubblegum Alley and the waterfall toilets at the Madonna Inn.
Well then.
Now, mid-1979, shortly before his senior year, My Sharona by the Knack was on the charts, and Yankovic took his accordion to the restroom across the hall from the radio station to take advantage of the echo chamber acoustics and recorded a parody titled My Bologna. He sent it to Dr. Demento, who played it to good response from the listeners. Yankovic met the Knack after the show at his college and introduced himself as the author of My Bologna. The Knack's lead singer, Doug Fielder, said he liked the song and suggested that Capitol Records Vice President Rupert Perry release it as a single. My Bologna was released as a single with School Cafeteria as its B-side, and the label gave Yankovic a 6-month recording contract. Yankovic, who was only getting average grades as an architecture degree, began to realize he might make a career out of comedic music. Well, on September 14th, 1980, Yankovic was a guest on the Dr. Demento show, where he was to record a new parody live. The song was called Another One Rides the Bus, a parody of the Queen's hit. While practicing the song outside the sound booth, he met John Bermuda Schwartz, who told him he was a drummer and agreed to bang on Yankovic's accordion case to help Yankovic keep a steady beat during the song. They rehearsed the song just a few times before the show began. Another One Rides the Bus became so popular that Yankovic's first television appearance was a performance of the song on The Tomorrow Show with Tom Snyder on April 21st, 1981. On the show, Yankovic played the accordion, and again, Schwartz banged on the case and provided comical sound effects. Yankovic's record label, TK Records, went bankrupt about 2 weeks after the single was released, so Yankovic received no royalties from the initial release.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Now, 1981 did bring Yankovic on tour for the first time as part of Dr. Demento's stage show. His stage act in Phoenix, Arizona nightclub caught the eye of manager Jay Levy, who was blown away. Levy asked Yankovic if he had considered creating a full band and doing his music as a career. Yankovic admitted that he had, so Levy held auditions. Steve Jay became a bass player, Jay's friend Jim West played guitar, Schwartz continued on drums, and Yankovic's first show with his new band was on March 31st, 1982. Several days later, Yankovic and his band were the opening act for Missing Persons. Now, Yankovic recorded I Love Rocky Road, the parody of I Love Rock and Roll, which was produced by Rick Derringer in 1982. The song was a hit on Top 40 radio, leading to Yankovic's signing with the Scotti Brothers. In 1983, Yankovic's first self-titled album was released by Scotti Brothers. The song Ricky, a parody of Tony Basil's Mickey, was released as a single, and the music video received exposure on the still young MTV. Now, Ricky broke the top 100 videos of MTV at the time, which Yankovic took as a sign that the career was in music, quitting his job as a mailroom clerk at the local office of Westwood One to pursue his music career. Now, Yankovic would release a second album, Weird Al Yankovic in 3D, in 1984. The first single, who hasn't heard of this one, Eat It, was a parody of the Michael Jackson song Beat It. It became popular thanks in part to a music video, a shot-for-shot parody of Jackson's Beat It music video, and what Yankovic sarcastically described as an uncanny resemblance to Jackson. Yankovic said he felt he had become an overnight success once the video for Eat It aired on MTV, as both the song and video, as well as Jackson's approval for the parody, drew attention to him from other musicians and made it easier for him to obtain permission to use other songs. Eat It was also aided by the first of Yankovic's Al TV specials that aired on MTV on, what else, April 1st, 1984.
Whoops.
The network looking to Yankovic's rising popularity to help fill programming time. Now, peaking at number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 on April 14th in 84, Eat It remained Yankovic's highest charting single until White and Nerdy placed at number 9 in October of 2006. In Canada, it rised as high as number 5. Well, in 1985, Yankovic co-wrote and starred in a mockumentary of his own life titled The Complete Al, the title being a parody of the 1982 documentary The Complete Beatles, which intertwined the facts of his life up to that point with fiction. The film also featured some clips of Yankovic's trip to Japan and some clips from the Al TV specials. The Complete Al was co-directed by Jay Levy, who would direct UHF 4 years later. He also released around the same time The Complete Al was The Authorized Al, a biographical book from the film. The book, resembling a scrapbook, included real and fictional humorous photographs and documents. Now, Yankovic and his band toured as the opening act for the Monkees in mid-1987. For the second reunion tour of North America, Yankovic claims to have enjoyed touring with the Monkees, even though the promoter gypped us out of a bunch of money. In '88, Yankovic was the narrator of the Wendy Carlos recording of Sergei Prokofyev's Peter and the Wolf. The album also included a sequel to Camille Saint-Saëns' composition, The Carnival of the Animals, titled The Carnival of the Animals Part 2, with Yankovic providing humorous poems for each of the featured creatures in the style of Ogden Nash, who had written humorous poems for the original. Well, Yankovic's success led to a deal to make his film UHF, which premiered in 1989. While the film has since become a cult title, its initial release against mediocre reviews, and it was up against several other blockbusters: Indiana Jones The Last Crusade, Ghostbusters 2, Batman, and License to Kill. While Yankovic released an associated soundtrack album, UHF, original motion picture soundtrack and other stuff, it was not as successful as the previous albums. Yankovic would fall into a slump over the next 3 years as a result of the poor performance of the film. Well, Yankovic returned to the studio to prepare songs for his next album, Off the Deep End, around 1990. Now, during production, Ruben Valterra joined the band on keyboards in 91, allowing Yankovic to concentrate more on singing and increasing his use of the stage space during concerts. Further, Yankovic took over production from Rick Derringer in 92. While Derringer had produced 6 of Yankovic's previous albums, for which he won 2 Grammy Awards, Derringer's drug-related issues had become a problem, along with Yankovic's increasingly more complex musical vision, including horns and other instruments. Well, in 92, most of the original songs off the deep end were complete, but Yankovic still did not have a strong parody and was waiting for the next big hit to work from, as he was still in a slump post-UHF. When Jackson released his next album, Dangerous, and its hit single, Black or White, Yankovic had quickly written a parody, Snack All Night, from it, and hoped Jackson would allow him to use the parody. Jackson denied Yankovic this, and Jackson felt Black or White carried a serious message that would be undermined by the parody. Again, Yankovic fell into a mood and delayed the release of Off the Deep End without a lead parody. Around this time, Nirvana and the grunge music scene began to take off. Yankovic wrote a parody of Nirvana's hit Smells Like Teen Spirit called Smells Like Nirvana, and was able to secure the band's permission for the parody. Interestingly enough, Nirvana's lead singer, Kurt Cobain, reportedly said that getting Yankovic to parody their work was a sign the band had made it.
Interesting.
Yeah, Smells Like Nirvana became the lead song for Off the Deep End, landing at number 35 on the Billboard charts, the second top 40 hit in the U.S. Off the Deep End reached number 17 in the Billboard 200 and helped revitalize Yankovic's career after the failure of UHF. Now, his next 2 studio albums were modest successes in the light of Off the Deep End, Alapalooza was released in '93, which led with Jurassic Park, a spoof of MacArthur Park, while knocking the 1993 film of the same name. Alapalooza peaked at 46, while following up with Bad Hair Day in '96, headlined with Amish Paradise, a parody of Coolio's Gangster Paradise. Amish Paradise reached number 53 of the Billboard 100 singles, while the album reached number 14 of the Billboard 200 and eventually was certified double platinum, making it one of Yankovic's most successful works. In addition, Yankovic released a number of compilation works during this period, including Permanent Record, Al in the Box, a 4-CD collection which included most of Yankovic's previous works as well as a informational booklet with contributions from Dr. Demento. Other compilations included Greatest Hits Volume 2, a collection of songs that were not included in Permanent Record, and the TV album featuring songs loosely based on television shows. Now, in 1998, Yankovic had LASIK eye surgery to correct his extreme myopia. Yankovic had the surgery for free when he agreed to let KTLA Morning News broadcast it live on television. When Running with Scissors debuted in 1999, he unveiled a radically changed look. In addition to shedding his glasses, he had shaved off his mustache and grown out his hair. He previously shaved off the mustache in '83 for the video of Ricky to resemble Desi Arnaz, and in 1989 for segments of the UHF music video, and in 1996 for Amish Paradise video. Yankovic reasoned, if Madonna is allowed to reinvent herself every 15 minutes, I should be good for a change at least once every 20 years. Now, he parodied the new reaction to his new look in a commercial for the non-existent MTV Unplugged special. The commercial featured Yankovic in his short-haired wig for the music video for Hanson's River, claiming his new look was an attempt to get back to the core of what I'm all about, that being the music. Now, Running with Scissors was followed by his next studio album, Poodle Hat, in 1983. In 2003. Poodle Hat was met with average reviews without any standout singles, although the album did peak at number 17 on the Billboard 200. Yankovic's following album was Straight Outta Linwood in 2006, which featured the single White Nerdy, one of my favorites, a parody of Ridin' by Shell Millionaire. White Nerdy became Yankovic's first Billboard Top 10 single, debuting at 29 and peaking at number 9. Canadian Idiot, my daughter's going to kill me, a parody of American Idiot by Green Day, also charted in the top 100. The album as a whole reached number 10 on the Billboard 200, and in 2008 was Yankovic's first certified platinum album, having reached over 1 million singles. Now, following Straight Outta Linwood, Yankovic started to explore digital distribution of his songs. Digital! On October 7th, 2008, Yankovic released to the iTunes Store, Whatever You Like, a parody of the T.I. song of the same title, which Yankovic said he'd come up with 2 weeks before. Yankovic said that it was a benefit of original distribution that I don't have to wait around while my songs get old and dated. I can get them out to the internet almost immediately. In 2009, Yankovic released 4 more songs: Craigslist, Skipper Dan, CNR, and Ringtone. These 5 digitally released songs were packaged as a digital EP titled Internet Leaks, with Whatever You Like retroactively included in the set. In 2011, Yankovic completed his 13th studio album titled Alpocalypse, which released on January 21st, 2011. The album contains the 5 songs from the previous digital download release, a polka medley called Polka Phase, a song called TMZ, for which Bill Plimpton created an animated music video, and 5 other new songs. Now, Yankovic had reported an interest in parodying Lady Gaga material, and on April 20th announced that he had written and recorded a parody of Born This Way titled Perform This Way, to be the lead single for his new album. However, upon first submitting it to Lady Gaga's manager for approval, which Yankovic does as a courtesy, he was not given permission to release it commercially. As he had previously done under certain circumstances with his parody of James Blunt's You're Beautiful, which was titled You're Pitiful, Yankovic soon released the song free on the internet. Interestingly enough, soon afterward, Gaga's manager admitted he had denied the parody of his own accord without forwarding the song to his client, And upon seeing it online, Lady Gaga granted permission for the parody.
Oops.
Yankovic has stated that all the proceeds from the parody in its music video will be donated to the Human Rights Campaign to support human rights themes of the original song. Yankovic was also a judge for the 10th Annual Independent Music Awards in support of independent artists' careers. Now, Yankovic stated in September of 2013 he was working on a new album, and in 2014 he used social media websites to hint at the July 15th release of a new album. The album work and title, Mandatory Fun, were confirmed by his publisher. Mandatory Fun was released to strong critical praise and was the #1 album on the Billboard charts the week of its release, buoyed by Yankovic's approach to releasing 8 music videos over 8 continuous days that drew viral attention as the album is described below. It became Yankovic's first #1 album. Additionally, the song Word Crimes, a parody of Blurred Lines, reached number 39. It became his 4th top 40 single, following Eat It, Smells Like Nirvana, and White Nerdy, and made him the 3rd musical artist after Michael Jackson and Madonna to have a top 40 single in each decade since the 80s. Now, Yankovic said in an interview promoting Mandatory Fun that this was the end of his recording contract. It was likely the last traditional album in the sense that recording and releasing that many songs at a time. He said he'd likely switch to releasing singles and EPs over the internet, a method which offers more immediate release opportunities as well. Yankovic considers the parodies in particular as sometimes that can become dated by the time of release. Since Mandatory Fun, Yankovic has not released any additional albums. In a 2017 interview with Rolling Stone, Yankovic said, "I can't tell you when any material is coming out. Inspiration could strike tomorrow. It might be something out next month. There's no plan. It's going to be whenever it winds up being." Now, after several years of fan-driven campaigns, Yankovic would wind up getting his own star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame in 2018. Now, in March of 2018, Yankovic released a new song, the Hamilton Polka. Again, Angel's Gonna Kill Me.
Nah.
A polka melody consisting of several songs from the musical Hamilton, which were written by Lin-Manuel Miranda. Yankovic and Miranda had met and became friends prior to the latter's work on Hamilton, and had discussed a possible musical project together. Now, after the success of Hamilton, Miranda provided Yankovic with the score from the musical, hoping Yankovic could create a few singles from it, but Yankovic ultimately created a full polka melody from it. The song holds the distinction of being the first polka song to chart on Billboard's digital song sales chart.
That's fun.
That's cool. After Hamilton premiered on Disney Plus in July 2020, Yankovic released a video version of the Hamilton Polka that synced his hit song to video clips from the show. Also in March, Yankovic released 2 remixes of songs by Portugal, The Man, I Feel It Still, and Live in the Moment. In 2020, he collaborated with the band again for their single, Who's Gonna Stop Me, which was released for Indigenous Peoples Day. Now, following the release of Mandatory Fun, Yankovic has not recorded many new songs, instead focusing on projects as his tours and the 2022 parody biopic, Weird, the Al Yankovic Story. The same year, he told the Los Angeles Times that he was not writing many new parodies because it had become harder to tell which new songs would be big hits due to what newspapers described as popular machine trending towards micro-niche less than monoculture. Yankovic released a new polka melody, Polkamania, on July 19th, 2024, featuring takes on Flowers, Bad Guy, and Old Town Road, among others. Because he's not released a polka in 10 years, he has considered this opportunity to include his White Whales, though limited his songs to those that reached #1 on the Billboard charts. The single included is the release as a video created by several animators that Yankovic has worked on in the past videos, such as Bill Clinton, Augenblick Studios, Lime Lynch, and Jarrett Heather, as well as new collaborations with artists like Sirach and Vivian Medrano. Now, on the personal side, Yankovic became a vegetarian in 1992 when his girlfriend gave him a copy of the 1987 John Robbins book, Diet for a New America, in which he said made a very compelling argument for a strict vegetarian diet. When asked how he can rationalize performing shows at events such as the Great American Rib Cook-Off as a vegetarian, he replied, "The same way I can rationalize playing at a college even though I'm not a student anymore."
Yeah.
In an interview on Milwaukee, he clarified his stance on his diet. He says, "I'm still a vegetarian, but I try to be vegan, but sometimes I occasionally cheat. If there's a cheese pizza on the band bus, I might sneak a piece." And then it also mentioned that, his LASIK surgery was to correct nearsightedness. His glasses were part of his signature look prior to the surgery. Yankovic considered wearing fake glasses, but decided against it. Around this time, he also decided to shave off the trademark mustache. Yankovic would marry a marketing executive with 20th Century Fox when they met in 2001, introduced to each other on a blind date by mutual friend Bill Money. Their daughter, Nina, was born in 2003, live in Los Angeles, where they own a house previously owned by writer Jack C. Margolis and rapper Heavy D. In contrast to his stage persona, Yankovic is known by friends and associates to be polite, shy, and introverted, even among family. He is a Christian and a married couple from the church he attends can be seen on the background of the cover of the album Poodle Hat. His religious upbringing is reflected in his abstinence from profanity, alcohol, and drugs. Now, sadly, on April 9th, 2004, Yankovic's parents were found dead at their home in Fallbrook, California, the victims of accidental carbon monoxide poisoning from their fireplace. Hours after his wife notified him of this, he made the decision to go on with his concert in Appleton, Wisconsin. He later said, "Since my music has helped so many of my fans through tough times, maybe it would work for me as well. At least give me a break from sobbing all the time." Their deaths occurred following the release of Poodle Hat, which was Yankovic's lowest-selling album in 20 years. He considered the Appleton show and subsequent tour dates therapeutic. "If I didn't have anything to distract me, I probably would have spiraled into even deeper depression. For a couple hours each night, I could go on stage and put on a big fake smile and pretend like everything was just okay." In a 2014 interview, he cited the deaths of his parents as the worst thing that ever happened to him, adding, "I knew intellectually that at some point probably I'd have to, live through the death of my parents, but I never thought it would be at the same time and so abruptly." One thing he does also mention that's kind of funny, he says, "Songs posted to file-sharing networks are often misattributed to him because of their humorous subject matter. Often the surname is misspelled and thus mispronounced as Yankovic instead of other variations. Much to the disdain of Yankovic, these misattributed files often leads to songs which are racist, explicit, or otherwise offensive. A young listener who have heard several of these offensive tracks, by the way, of a file-sharing service, confronted Yankovic online, threatening a boycott because of supposedly explicit lyrics. Quite a few of the songs, like Star Wars Cantina by Mark Jonathan Davis, no, not a double misattribution, his lounge singer-style Richard Cheese, Star Wars Gangsta Rap, Yoda Smokes Weed, Chewbacca, The Devil Went to Jamaica, and several more, have a Star Wars motif. Some songs misattributed to him are not songs, but spoken skits, such as Sesame Street on Crack, which is also widely misattributed to Adam Sandler. A list of songs frequently misattributed to Yankovic can be found at the Not Al page, and a list of commercially released songs recorded by Yankovic can be found on his website. Now, Yankovic cites misattribution as his only real problem with peer-to-peer file-sharing sites. He says, "If you do a search for my name on any one of those sites, I guarantee you about half the songs that come up will be songs I had absolutely nothing to do with." That's what particularly bothers me, because I really try to do quality work, and also try to maintain a more or less family-friendly image. And some of these songs that are supposedly by me, well, they're just vulgar and awful. I truly think my reputation has suffered in a lot of people's minds because all of those fake Weird Al songs floating around on the internet. Now, in terms of legitimate parodies of Yankovic, the Mr. Show sketch Superstar Machine features Bob Odenkirk as the character Daffy Bell Yinkle. Yankovic was impressed by the parody and stated that it zeroes in on everything that's irritating about me. Now, as mentioned earlier with the Walk of Fame, Weird Al Stars Fund was a campaign started by his fans to get him a star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Their mission was to solicit, collect, and raise the necessary money and to compile information needed for the application to nominate Weird Al Yankovic to get a star on the
Walk of Fame. Fans originally set up $40,000 needed for the nomination. Originally, they were only supposed to need a then target of $15,000 back in 2006. They submitted the paperwork. Somehow, Yankovic was not included in the inductees. The next year, they raised the price to sponsor a new star to $25,000. Yankovic's application was resubmitted for consideration, but again wasn't included. 2010, the price was pushed up to $30,000. And in 2017, the price went all the way to $40,000. The campaign raised the new target each time, and applications continued to be submitted yearly until the Hollywood Chamber of Commerce announced in 2017 that Yankovic would get his star on the Walk of Fame as one of the 2018 inductees. So in an official induction ceremony on August 27th, 2018, Al received the 2,643rd star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. The star is located at 6914 Hollywood Boulevard, directly across the street from the CNL Chinese Theater. The ceremony was attended by 1,500 fans. Now, similar to the Star Fund, a second fan-driven campaign called Make the Rock Hall Weird has been trying to get him into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in Cleveland, Ohio, for what has been eligible since 2004. Now, previous attempts to raise awareness for the campaign and support Yankovic's nomination included a petition drive from 2006 to 2007, which raised over 9,000 signatures, an art competition in 2005, and additionally, a documentary film about the campaign is currently being developed. In addition to these efforts, an ongoing campaign is underway in which supporters of Yankovic's nomination are requested to send sincere, thoughtful letters to the Rock Hall Foundation in New York. The Hall has not considered Yankovic for nomination since the campaign started in 2004. A Rolling Stone 2009 poll named Weird Al as the top artist that should be nominated to the Hall of Fame, followed by Rush, who got it in 2013, and the Moody Blues, who were inducted in 2018 as the top 10. A smaller ongoing effort has been made by fans to have Yankovic perform at the halftime show of the Super Bowl. By gosh, they have to do that.
Be better than most of the ones we've had.
No kidding, you know.
Not that would be hard.
With the fun that he can throw up there on stage, I would definitely endorse that idea. Now, the other thing that I don't know if many people know this, I followed Weird Al Yankovic for years. One thing he's always had as a passion, and again, it's playing that accordion. Every one of his albums always has one polka. Minimum one polka. And what makes them so funny is that it is literally a mishmash of like small pieces of lyrics of like 40 songs. And the way that he can tie them all together so beautifully is hilarious. Going through the lyric titles and stuff like that. Like for his very first album, it was more known for the Ricky, I Love Rocky Road, Another One Rides the Bus. Great songs. Don't get me wrong. For the track listing, he's got Buckingham Blues, Happy Birthday, Stop Dragging My Car Around, the My Bologna, Another One Rides the Bus, I'll Be Mellow When I'm Dead, Mr. Frump and the Iron Lung. But the big thing is that, somehow he's able to get these hits and make them stick. Now, on 3D, pull up some of his other titles. I Lost on Jeopardy, Eat It, The King of Suede, which is hilarious, The Brady Bunch, Buy Me a Condo, Polkas on 45. Now, I'm willing to bet that somewhere on this wonderful birth of YouTube, there is a video for it. Now, it's probably just a stage shot. It might be somebody's recording just showing the album cover. You guys got to check it out sometimes. Let me see if they actually got a listing of all the songs that are involved. The following songs are contained in this medley: Beer Barrel Polka, Jocko Homo, Clarinet Polka, Smoke on the Water, Hey Jude, L.A. Woman, Inagata Davida, Hey Joe, Burning Down the House, Hot Blooded, Bubbles in the Wine, Every Breath You Take, Should I Stay or Should I Go, Jumpin' Jack Flash, My Generation, and Ear Booker Polka by Weird Al Yankovic. All those segments are sucked into this one song. And it's almost a fact of brilliance that he could pull off all those pieces. King of Suede, parodying The King of Pain by the Police. Theme from Rocky 13 is a parody of Eye of the Tiger by Survivor. And, you know, it's just half the fun that they had when he was building these albums. But, you know, for his birthday, 23rd, he'll be 66 years old. But happy birthday to Weird Al Yankovic, one of the funnest artists that we've heard of. But this has been the Bearded Historian, folks. Tune in and have some fun next week.
Be weird.